Doot 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 theme song. Hey everybody, welcome back to Make Better. I'm your host Nick, and I actually have a couple of things to say this time instead of just my usual random rants. Well, it's going to turn into that. Let's be honest. But I the previous video that I put out was a tribute to Norm Macdonald. As expected, it was one of then a million ones afterwards. Pretty much every single podcast that I listened to had nothing but praises to sing for him. And that's pretty much how mine went. I basically, just talked about how he was great and funny, and I never heard anybody say an unkind word about him. And then, of course, I start hearing about, that he, quite frequently would sexually assault women. Of course, because that's what usually tends to happen. So it brought up an interesting point where it's like this isn't the first time, excuse me, that someone that I've admired their work has turned out to be a scumbag, and what is the right reaction? In that case, it's like if Norm Macdonald famously was you know um, just being like that to women, should I take down my video? Should I make a new one with that information in it as well, just to tell the full story? Should I leave the video up as is because I meant it at the time, but maybe put an asterisk in the notes? Or should I leave it alone and just have this count as my follow-up apology video? But there's always been that issue of like separating a person from their from their from their work, and by that I don't just mean like um, you know Norm might have been a scumbag towards women, but his stand-up special was amazing. Not just that kind of work, but I mean like even in the case of Bill Cosby, where he was a serial rapist, and not just rapist, but I mean like I feel like the rape and and unknowingly drugging somebody, like that's so rape and assaulter, I guess you could say. But Bill Cosby didn't just do comedy specials and shows and stuff, but he got a lot of black people through college. He, I think, paid for the PA system that Martin Luther King Jr. did the "I Had a Dream" speech on. So it's one of those where if someone does something that deserves to be punished, that yes, they should be punished regardless of how much good they put out in the world. Um, it's interesting. There was in the BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch. Um, John is trying to get him to be his best man, but he's misinterpreting it as the best man that he ever met. And he goes, it was this garroter guy. He was a guy that would go around killing people by choking them out. And he was like he opened up hospitals. He put in millions of dollars to research. Like he basically saved millions of lives. Sure, there was the occasional garroting, but he figured that the 4 or 5 people that he killed versus the like millions that he saved, made him in the end a good person. So it's there's no way that should be the way to look at a person's worth. It's like if there is even one murder, even one rape, I mean that is not a good person. Regardless of the amount of stuff they did. And it's weird because it seems like some of the people that in the public eye are some of the nicest people. That's usually them, I guess in a way kind of trying to make up for their evil side, to try and like maybe have the justice scales balance out so that they might still go to even if they don't believe in heaven, some kind of karmic afterlife. um so I don't know. I mean, it's just like is Kevin Spacey a scumbag, and super scary scumbag because he did that whole weird kill him with kindness speech, and then suddenly people disappeared and whatever. um you know but does that mean that I then shouldn't watch The Usual Suspects? If Baby Driver comes on the TV, should I change the channel? It's just really weird. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, can the world do me a favor and not look too deep into Keanu Reeves' life history, because I'm really starting to run out of people that I look up to, and that so far all I've heard about them is that they're an amazing, kind person. And yeah, Keanu Reeves is going to be, one of the blows I don't know if I could take. So let's just not dig too deep. And I'm just kidding. Obviously, if he's done anything wrong, he should, definitely be found out and punished. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like there's a reason why you shouldn't have people that you're a fan of become a hero of yours. You should just stay being a fan, not a worshiper, because every single person is a human. They all have their bad stuff. I have plenty of bad stuff. Thankfully, it never went over into something that the Boondock Saints could kill me over. But it's one of those things where um, it was kind of a double whammy. It was like Norm Macdonald was an unexpected one, for a lot of people, and relatively young. I guess in comedy years, that's not necessarily young, but in regular old human average lifespan years, he did still die pretty young. And yeah, I mean, you're bound to find out some bad stuff about the people that you're a fan of. So that doesn't make his jokes any less funny, although it does paint a new light. Everybody's been going down a YouTube rabbit hole about Norm jokes, and I did see a compilation of one where he does consistently, make fun of women, and that those ones hit a little bit differently now, knowing that. So that was kind of a bitter, moment finding that out about. So yeah, that's just something that I guess has always been, a question of like, at what point do you separate the work from the person? Is there any redeeming? If like let's say that all of the sexual harassment was when he was in his 20s, and then from 30s on he was nothing but a good person. He made sure to get women like jobs and projects that he was working on, which is true. I mean, obviously he wasn't you know a jerk to every single woman that he came across. In fact, quite a few had nothing, like Sarah Silverman had nothing but praises to sing for him, so obviously he always treated Sarah Silverman with respect. But yeah, it's like does if you didn't pay the time for the crime. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't go to jail, or like at least get taken to court for it, but then like did do like stopped being that way, and then did good allegations. Like has he made up for it? Like can he now be considered a good person again? It. Um, I don't know, and that's why it's you know scary if you're completely innocent and you still get tried for a crime. I mean, that's possibly even scarier than if you did do it and you're getting charged, because you know the whole system isn't exactly like clear cut in stone. Good versus evil. We all live in a gray area, and and we're judged by fallible people. That it's funny because it used to be that we persecute just based on our opinion of a certain race, and now it's almost impossible to convict anybody, unless like you have like a video of them doing it. Everything else you can just always argue. It's like within a reasonable doubt. Well, there's always a reasonable doubt if there's no physical proof of like me seeing this person on camera doing it. So um, yeah, law, justice, how you feel about people, whether they should be forgiven. Um, there's just so many different varying degrees, and so that was one where it's bummer to hear about Norm. And again, I mean, it doesn't make his jokes any less funny. Besides, changes the tone of some of the ones about women. But at the same time, I don't think that he should have done it. I don't know what to say. So, and obviously, he died before anything could be done about it. So, what does that mean now? Um, yeah, sorry. This should have been a spoiler alert. Maybe I'll do it in the description. This might be a bit of a heavy one, because that was kind of a bummer. Um, I'm pretty irritated about this latest TikTok trend that I'm sure everybody's heard about, talked about, and anybody knows it's dumb. I mean, even the people that are doing it know, like right afterwards, or even like a year from now, they're gonna realize how dumb it was. But the whole, um, uh, oh man, now I forgot what the heck it's called, because it doesn't actually have anything to do with what it's called. It's basically just kids going into school and just either stealing or vandalizing stuff. So they'll go in, rip the soap dispenser off of the bathroom, and is it like Devious drip, or I I don't know. I'm screaming at myself because I just had it in my head. But the point is, it's just a stupid trend. It's a they call it a challenge too, and it's like I really don't like that because challenges used to be the ice bucket challenge, something where it's just like humorous, minor inconvenience, and humorous minor inconvenience, like how pranks are supposed to be. And in this case, this is just straight up vandalism. And so that's an issue because there's a difference between a prank and vandalism. My example that I was going to have is that so for high school senior prank, there was the school and then the teacher parking and then the student parking, and so the students parked in the teacher parking, blocked it off, and then had a barbecue. So the teachers were minorly inconvenienced by having to park in the student parking lot and walk a couple extra feet to the door. Um, that's just one example. I'm running out of battery power, so but like the following class, their high school prank was to spray paint and put concrete on the front doors, and I think one glass panel even got kicked out. So that's not a prank; that's vandalism. So basically, it's a stupid trend. I hope it stops, but you know, I just want to tell the kids, it's just like, look, if you want to be a rebel and vandalistic, why don't you do like what this other guy did? I can't remember if it was in Denmark or whatever, but just go out with a spray paint and find a pothole and just draw a giant penis around the pothole. I'm not actually saying to do this. I'm just saying hypothetically, if you wanted to be a rebel, you could do something along those lines where the state is going to have to come, and since they already have to send somebody to take the paint off, if you keep doing that, they're eventually going to have to just fill the pothole. So maybe be vandalistic, but for a good cause. Anyway, so something like that would be better. It's just those are just two things. One that kind of bummed me out, and one that kind of ticked me off that I wanted to share. But oh, actually, hold on. I should be able to because this is here at Anything Better, we do not plan ahead, we do not edit, and we certainly don't check our phone for our charge before we start in on our rant. Hey, there we go. Look at that. It's back. It's so much brighter and better. All right, so I don't have to rush off into the sunset. But yeah, I was planning on wrapping it up, but then I realized I was technically sitting within a charging cable. Please tell me this isn't upside down now. It's probably upside down, isn't it? All right. It's not going to auto level on me, so let's see if we can. Oh, this is so professional. Oh, this is so professional. Okay, here we go. Now it's going to fall over on me. Perfect. All right, frame it up nice and good so that I'm slightly off center and slightly tilted just to piss off all the OCD people watching this. If you're even watching this isn't even a good audio only one, so I'm not sure why I do video. It's easier. It's just, hit play on the phone and just start ranting at the camera. But anyway, so hopefully you had a good week. It was, pretty decent. It is rough. I don't quite. I guess I kind of understand how some people come to my area to check out the changing of the leaves. I'm not blind. I can see beauty where beauty, is due. But if you live in the area, if you like to be outdoors, you live in the area, you can maybe appreciate the beauty of the leaves changing, but it also means that fall's here, followed closely by winter. All your summer activities are going to have to wait for 6 months, so it's not quite as pretty when you have the context for it. So I saw the first couple of red leaves already, and it was just kind of a bummer. Not that there aren't fun things to do with snow either, but unfortunately with snow comes a lot more of, hurt in the back with shoveling. Excuse me, potentially more power outages, idiots on the road, black ice. So even if you're being completely smart and driving, under the speed limit, you can still easily just go over a curve just because, you can't see it. You can't see black ice at night. So, the winter does come with its own issues. I used to be much more of an avid skier, so basically I don't know that being able to see everything in white, which again is pretty. I do appreciate beauty. I appreciate the changing of the leaves. It is very beautiful. I appreciate when everything's completely covered in white. It's just, very magical and, winter wonderlandish and all that stuff. But, the few things that are good about winter, I don't feel offset the extra danger, higher heating bill and all the other stuff that goes with winter at the same time. But I could move, so that's not me, ranting. That's just me saying, you know, when all the leafers get here and you see us giving you dirty looks, just understand that it's just coming from a place of you're blocking my traffic, and I don't get where you're coming from a little bit. That was mean. I'm just joking. I'm kidding around. I'm just trying to, just trying to vent a little bit because I feel like it was nothing but bad news all last week. I mean, Norm was the only celebrity death, but I mean, there's definitely people that, friends of the family that, there was a, you know, uh, an accident involving alcohol that, two people died. There was something in the, very close to the area that I work where, a woman's body was, found, in a dump truck, and it was close enough that my coworkers actually speculated it was the very same dump truck that we often see drive by when we're having our smoke break in the morning. So, you know, it isn't like I was turning to TikTok for a bit of good news, but if I had been, I would have failed to find it there with the whole uh, whatever the heck that challenge is called, where it's like, hey, let's just now that we can finally be back to school. And because schools have all the funding in the world. I mean, they're basically just that's where they print the money, right? The schools. So just to vandalize, something that doesn't have much money put into it in the beginning, and I can't say, in all seriousness, that had I grown up and I was in school at this point in time, then I had grown up. I mean, I should just be on the outside of being of a generation that feels the need to even be doing one of these podcasts. So the fact that I am already shows that there's a bit of a pull to it. So now that you have kids that basically were born with a phone in their face, and now they have the highly addictive format of TikTok. I went on TikTok once and only once, and I, swiped and swiped and swiped and swiped and swiped, and like pretty soon a half an hour had gone by, and I realized, like, I've never done heroin, but I feel like this is the social media equivalent of heroin, and it does already seem like pretty addictive, pretty dangerous. And I feel like anything that is popular, I don't know what makes something go viral, and I don't know what makes something popular. I don't know why people are doing the milk crate challenge. That one's kind of infuriating because there's already people in the hospital because of COVID on the rise, and people can't get beds because there's more capacity. Like I saw somebody that actually had the unit outside or whatever. And so people that are intentionally risking bodily harm for what is really pretty a stupid challenge. And where are you getting all the milk crates from, by the way? That's one thing that kills me is like it's not like are these all these milk crates literally stolen from the back of stores? Because I know that you can't just go out and buy them at a, or maybe you can. I don't know. But anyway, I think the one that pissed me off the most was just like, okay, you want to challenge yourself. Heaven forbid you lay a mattress down on either side. You're gonna land on a milk crate anyway, but just to show that you even tried to be safe about it. But I think the most infuriating one that I saw, and that's when I had to just walk away from the internet for a second, was somebody was at the top of the milk crate and they're almost on their way down, and then somebody just comes in and just kicks the side of the milk crate, and it's just like, okay, well now we're just hurting people. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's not a trend. It's not a challenge. It's just straight up injury for the sake of following. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like where are all my rebellers at? All of my goths and people that go against the grain. Like let's take a stupid vandalistic trend. Let's take a stupid risking bodily harm trend, and those are the ones that go viral. So now everybody wants to have their video of it. It's like, no, like go against the curve. Do something unique and original. And yeah, it might not get views, but if you do that consistently over the course of time and it's good content, eventually you're going to get discovered, and then people are going to be like, holy crap, not only is this person great, but they've been great for a while. Let's binge watch all of that stuff. You've become an overnight sensation, and you did it your way. I mean, I know it's not easy because I haven't friggin' done it. I mean, but I'm just saying, it's there's better things that you could be following the trend of, But anyway. Yeah, this is not a fun one. I do apologize. I had to get a lot out, I guess, and in lieu of going to therapy, which I still plan on doing. It's just getting around to it. I mean, I guess I could technically get some stuff through the VA, although I hear that takes about 6 months from a coworker. But yeah, and I can always get my better help with promo code when any one of the podcasts that I listen to. Apparently, that's a hugely popular one amongst advertising for a podcast. Although I wonder just how effective it is. I have looked into some of the, like, last Christmas, when I was looking for ideas, I was just like, well, how about one of the hundreds of, products that, the podcast that I listen to offer. And then you look, and then it's just like, oh, it's a bidet that's, 4 times the price of any of the other ones that you can find on Amazon, or wherever your bidet retailers are. Don't necessarily want to give Amazon any more business because they need it so bad. I mean, guys, Amazon's really hurting. No, I'm just kidding. So I do love Long Days with Giannis Pappas because he does shout outs to local businesses, kind of like how I do with, Josh and Sand Dune Customs and, Truffle Lady and, Simply Cribbage and all that stuff. I like the idea that it's like, hey, it's somebody, that I know that's doing something that I like that I think needs as much love as I can put out there. So if even, one of the two people that watch this, just decide to check them out because I can't shut up about them, and that person makes one more sale of something that they do that they love and they do well, then awesome. It took literally nothing out of my day. In fact, it helped fatten up the podcasts, if anything. So, you know, um, let's have that be the next big news story. Like next time I turn on Reddit, let's see, you know, local business guy, makes enough money to retire because his friends, all shout him out on their social media page, and you know what I mean, like something wholesome. I'm sure there's some wholesome stuff out there, but it's like, I don't know. Is it the fact that I look longer on a sadder story just to get all the details, and then the algorithm says, oh, he's interested in the darker stuff? Because that is a thing. Like, I don't know, everybody's watched Joe Rogan, so anybody that I'm talking this to probably has already heard of it. But one of the stories that Rogan likes to say is that his friend Ari Shafir, just as a fun experiment, just looked up videos of dogs, and only dogs, for a month. He would watch a video, like the video, and then find another dog video and watch that video and like it, and then pretty soon in his whole YouTube feed, all it was dogs. And yeah, I mean, that's how the algorithm works. So it's like, obviously, if there's a lot of depressing, saddening, maddening news in your feed, then it's because those are the ones that you click on to get more information about. The ones that are nice, you just sometimes can get the story in just the nice description, where it's just like um, person surprises homeless person with a meal in a hotel room or something. It's just like, oh, that's really sweet. I mean, I don't have to see the video, but that's really sweet that happened. That makes me feel happy. Wait, what is this clickbaity headline about? Somebody that I'm a huge fan of that died. I got to find out every detail about this. So it is kind of how we're built. So it isn't. So yeah, I don't know. Shout out in the comments. I mean, they're overwhelming, guys. Thanks so much for all the comments, but I can't read through them all. But please, definitely, if you had some recent news stories that happened, maybe share them with me so that I can go check it out and feel a little wholesome. I mean, those are some of my favorite ones in Reddit. Like where it's humans being bros. Those uplifting ones. I always love seeing those. Whether it's rescuing an ungrateful animal, because they never say thank you. I mean, the animal's just like, I'm sure the animal's thinking, oh, that feels a lot better, but just in case this is an apex predator with a knife, and yes, they used it to cut off the fishing line that was on me, but that fishing line was from humans to begin with, so let's call it even, and I'm going to get the heck out of here while I still can. I don't blame animals for not sticking around saying thank you. Although there was a really cool one where it was a guy rescuing a baby, is there baby swan or goose? Either way, the mom was there and doing the whole like mom thing of like, the guy has clearly worked with them before though, because he's just like, oh no, don't be silly. It was a goose because I was thinking how it was funny saying silly goose. Well, if the mom genuinely thought the guy was trying to eat her baby, a goose can break your freaking arm. Like, a goose is nothing to be trifled with. I mean, they can rip chunks of skin out of you. Like, it's not a joke if a mom goose wants to, F your S up. So I think that she got the idea of what he was doing, but she was also just like, hey, just keep in mind that, the second I see blood from that baby, I'm going to see blood from you. So I think she got it. So yeah, and yes, maybe she didn't say thank you, when the baby duckling was, reunited with the family, she didn't go over and then lay her head in the guy's lap or anything. I mean, that's not how she's built. But the fact that she didn't peck him to death while he was just trying to save the baby, I think was her way of saying thank you, but I'm also still going to do my parenting thing. So, no, I love seeing videos of that. Like, like they run up, they grab the seal's freaking out, they cut the fishing net off, and then the seal, like, quickly goes into the water, and it's like, no, if I was a seal, I don't know that I'd stick around and be like, high five either. But it's still cool videos to see. Unfortunately, 9.99999% of the time, it is 9 out of 10 is what I meant to say. 9.999% of the time is not that much at all. Numbers don't mean anything at, the Nick 101 podcast. I think that's a disclaimer that I've pretty much, instilled. But, I mean, at this point, it might as well just be a banner running across the bottom like, the stock market info in a news channel. But yeah, so basically, the majority of the videos that I see is humans rescuing an animal from other human stuff. Like, the baby duck, the baby goose was gooseling. There's duck and duckling. What is a baby goose? Anyway, should look that up at some point. I should know this. This was formerly the Animal Channel until I ran out of stuff to talk about. Now it's just all about me, narcissism. But yeah, it was a goose. It was a baby goose caught in a human-made fence. They rescued the seal by cutting off a fishing net from another human being. So basically, 99% of the there we go. That's how you say it properly. 99% of the stuff that I see is humans saving animals from other human stuff. I mean, was it a whale? A dude jumped into the water on a whale's back in order to cut a piece of netting off. That one was pretty badass because I think the thing was already starting to try and sink. And he was like, come on, come on, come on, get it, get it, get it. And that one was like, oof, sweaty palms. A little white knuckle on that one. So yeah, there is some wholesome stuff out there. Obviously, the negative stuff is going to be more talked about, not just because people are more interested in finding out all of the news about bad stuff. It's kind of like I think that part of it is like you can't help but be interested, but someone said that I can't remember who was talking about it, but they said they had a theory about like true crime podcasts seem to be very, 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 very popular with more of a female audience than a male audience. Granted, there's still plenty of true crime male podcasters as well as enjoyers, but it seems to be widely female. And the theory behind that is just like, that it's more like, like, okay, so what happened? What were the signs? Like basically stuff where it's like, hey, just to make sure that this doesn't happen to me, I'm going to absorb each and every single detail of each and every single incident. So, because women already have a much better, sixth sense about, a creep factor than, guys do, by nature. It's, survival thing. It's just, they're just like, oh, I just got this weird vibe. And then sure enough, turns out, years later, they see that the person went to jail for, domestic violence. And it's just like, oh, see, and he was all smiles. And, so I think maybe we, watch, watch cam footage of a traffic accident because we're on the road all the time and we know that could happen. So it's like, okay, so because since it's a video and it's going to be like a traffic accident, you can kind of like you're scanning all over the screen, and then you see this white car like starting to like move in on the lane. You're just like, I bet you that's what it's going to be, and so maybe you feel like you can be more alert when you're driving, where it's just like, oh, there's a car that's drifting towards me. This could go the way that the video went, so I should be extra hyper aware. That's just a theory, but kind of like how news used to have it, where it would just be like, horrific story. And then now on the lighter side of the news, I think back then they felt like, well, we need a palate cleanser, right? I don't think that people do that enough with their scrolling. Like, if you're just going to set aside, some time to scroll, which isn't necessarily in of itself a bad thing, but, if you're like me and you just get home and, you woosah, by like, okay, I'm home. That was a work day. Let's let the dog out, sit on the porch, have a glass of wine, and like maybe just watch some, Norm Macdonald joke videos or whatever, um, and then but as you're watching it, and then like the next suggested one, it might be something that's not so humorous and funny, and you might click on that, and then oh, that leads to another one. So it's like we shouldn't spend too much time doing just that. Kind of like how I used to read all the time, and there's something to be said for it's like, okay, well, if I would get home and then I'd read the book, and it was such a good book that I would just like keep reading and reading, and then look up and all of a sudden realize, okay, I haven't eaten or drank anything. My bladder's full, my neck is killing me. I really should get some sleep. But oh, the next chapter, and so mentally you're stimulated, but physically you have been neglecting yourself. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's just yeah, watch some stuff, but take breaks, and definitely if it's going to be more on the horrific side, maybe try and do a bit of a palate cleanser. I don't know. I'm not a expert. I've done zero research, but it is just something that I've noticed that last week I'm having trouble remembering because those good feel good stories that I'm mentioning, those weren't ones that I happened to see last week. All I can remember from last week is bad news, both personal and just in the world. And that's something where it's like, well, that should have been the time that maybe I should be searching out some maybe more wholesome stuff so that I can be like, okay, the world's not all bad, but yeah, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I don't know. Trying to think of a way to salvage this. I don't know if there is, but anyway, yeah, gonna try and get some stuff done before dinner time, and definitely gonna try and schedule at least one or two more outdoor activities before I see more red leaves on the ground. So I suggest you do the same if you enjoy doing outdoor stuff. And who knows? Maybe you enjoy doing outdoor winter stuff, and you're like, "Shut up and let's let winter hurry up and get here and have the groundhog see his shadow, so that we can get." Is it if they see the shadow, there's 6 extra weeks, or did not see a shadow? No, if they see a shadow, they see the shadow. It's definitely 6 more weeks. So maybe there's people out there that are just like, "Shut up, man! I want to do my skiing thing," and worried that the way the weather's been all crazy that we might just have a warm one, and the only snow I'm going to be able to shred on is artificial. Because there is a difference. I do remember that from my skiing days. You can definitely notice slightly different feel to the stuff that they snow blew on rather than actual fresh powder. But man, it's been a while. Anybody else do that? Anybody else fall out of skiing and other stuff that it's like I honestly can't remember the last time. It's been at least a decade. That's for sure. At least a decade straight. And even then, it was probably just one, with plenty of years on either side. So I'm hoping that that's one of those skills like riding a bike that you can just get right back up on. Because I wasn't great at skiing, but I was definitely, intermediate, I guess you could call it. What was it? Green circles, blue squares, and black diamonds. I wouldn't really do any black diamonds, but I did plenty of blue squares, no problem. So hopefully I can still do blue squares if I get back in there. Yeah. Hmm. That was always fun. The boots were always the worst, though. I almost kind of wish that I had taken up snowboarding. Snowboarding wasn't even a thing, I think, when I was really young. I mean, I've been on skis since I was like really, really young. So snowboarding only became popular later on. Um, and yeah, the board itself seems like a little bit more of a pain in the butt than the skis, but good God, is the boot so much more comfortable. I've tried on those, and yeah, like the ski boots are just the most unforgiving thing. Snowboarding boots actually feel a little bit more like boots. So in a way, just for the boots alone, I almost kind of wish I had gotten more into snowboarding. But I tried it once without any lessons, and all I just did was completely just make my knees, elbows, wrists, and butt uh, so sore. I was young at that point, so it wasn't like I broke or sprained anything. But oh my goodness, did I hammer on them like something fierce? Where just pretty much every point of contact, elbows, everything. Um, was sore because I just fell and fell and fell and fell and fell, and I could not figure out how you're supposed to stay on the darn thing. So maybe I'll go back to that at some point. But yeah, if you've had something you used to like to do and you haven't done it in a while, and you're feeling a little blah or a little depressed, yeah, that's what I'll end on. Is maybe just some advice about like because there's nothing worse than something that you used to like to do and it gave you a lot of you had a lot of passion for it and then you just kind of fall off of it and then you haven't done it in a long time. Well, if it's one you haven't done in a long time, go revisit it. It's kind of like how your taste buds change every 7 years. Technically, I think every cell in your body is replaced every 7 years, so taste buds included. So I used to absolutely hate bananas. I thought they were the most disgusting thing ever, and now I'm not sure why. Bananas are fine. I mean, they have hardly any taste, and now a peanut butter and banana sandwich is one of the yummiest things. So go back and try that food that you didn't like before. Or go back to that activity that used to bring you joy and then you just kind of got bored with. But if it's been a couple of years, maybe go back and see, remind yourself why you enjoyed it in the first place. Maybe it got too easy, so go back and do the more challenging version of it. I mean, I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but I want to end on a light note after just doing a mad, angry rant for, 35 minutes. Okay, that's ridiculous. All right. So, yeah, make better, try out a activity that you've let fall to the wayside. Maybe it'll spark a new interest in it, or even something that's a different version of it. So maybe I stopped skiing because I got sick of skiing. Maybe I need to pick up snowboarding, and it's like that was the missing piece. Skiing was great, going down the hill I love, but f those skis and f those boots. One board, soft boots was the way to go. Maybe that's it. I mean, it is a thought. Um, it's a thought. Anyway, I'm done thinking. Appreciate you. Next time.